Welcome to Zero Hanger Hard Knocks, where each week every team cops a hard knock or a burning question. We are fresh off round 18, so let's kick it off with the Adelaide Crows. Is the future suddenly brighter at West Lakes? Crows fans might have experienced one of their better wins of the year on Saturday against St Kilda. It wasn't a close game or a big scalp, but the efforts of Adelaide's younger ranks will have delighted locals. 2024 debutants Zach Taylor and Billy Dowling were promising, as was newcomer Hugh Bond. Jake Saligo and Luke Nankervis continued their career best campaigns. Top pick Dan Curtin continues to develop at the lower level, and Riley Thilthorpe looks set to thrill if his body can hold up. Could Neil claim a third Brownlow medal? Lions co-captain Lachie Neale might just be making a late run for another Brownlow, with his form over the past 2 months leaving the door open for a stunning push for the medal. Zero Hanger's MVP voting has seen Neale quickly rise to 6th overall, polling votes in 8 of his last 9 appearances. No player has won a third Brownlow since 1971, where Ian Stewart joined Bobby Skilton, Hayden Bunton and Dick Reynolds as the only players with 3 Charlies to their name. Could Neale join these 4 to stamp himself as one of the greatest to ever do it? Is Carlton's contest now cause for concern? It was Cripps or bust again for the Blues in the Skipper's 200th. A midfield we thought was stacked can't seem to find another winner when they're needed most. Sam Walsh is finding the footy without the typical impact, Adam Chera has failed to find his best, and George Hewitt can't even scrape the side. Is this a cause for concern come finals time, or is it just a temporary blip being amplified by inaccuracy in front of goal? September will let us know. Will Collingwood eventually make a tough call on their captain? The form of Magpies skipper Darcy Moore has been in the limelight for the past few weeks, with his on-field woes playing a part in Collingwood's waning premiership and now finals chances. So would Craig McRae ever consider actually dropping his premiership captain? Form might suggest he should, but there's no clear replacement for Moore, and if there's one man who can change the club's fortunes this year, it's the All-Australian. What is Essendon's best ruck forward formation? It was an ugly evening for the Bombers on Saturday night as they struggled to compete against an undermanned Melbourne outfit. Ruckman Sam Draper couldn't take advantage of Max Gawn's absence, with Essendon losing the clearance count by 12. The form of Peter Wright and Kyle Langford over the last month also comes into question, with a decision to be made by Brad Scott on whether he needs Todd Goldstein back in the side and potentially drops one of his experienced talls. They're the wins you need to bank. It was far from a Docker shocker in Tassie, but in a season like no other, that loss to Hawthorn could almost be season-defining. Freo sit 1 win out of 2nd and 1 loss out of 10th after round 18, with real challenges in each of their next 5 outings, playing Melbourne, Essendon, Geelong and GWS in 4 of them. It is crucial for interstate sides to finish top 2 if there are any chance of premiership success, so that loss may sit worryingly with Longmuir's men. Is there any team that can draft like Geelong? The Cats have done it again, with the draft knowledge of Stephen Wells and his team plucking Lawson Humphreys out of WA with pick 63 and quickly turning him into a needed asset at AFL level. Humphreys was playing reserves level waffle footy before being drafted by the Cats last November and is now having a start in the blue and white hoops we haven't seen since Tim Kelly, the son who could be a Brownlow podium smoky. Noah Anderson could again be among the surprise packets on Brownlow night following his 22 votes and top 10 finish in 2023. This year he could go even further thanks to his stellar form at home. Anderson could poll votes in all 9 of the Suns' wins in Queensland and in the Northern Territory, rating as best of field in at least 6 of those victories. The Suns have 2 more games to come at home and could finally pick up some wins on the road when they face West Coast and Richmond later this season. There's more signs that the tsunami is back. They've won just 2 in a row, but there are clear signals of a giant resurgence on the road to September. Sunday saw their highest score at the MCG in just their first trip to the grand final venue for 2024, scoring 108 points on a competitive Tigers outfit. More importantly though, Toby's back and the young guns are flying again. Harvey Thomas and Darcy Jones providing that speed and dash that excited us all at the start of the season. Could Hawthorn's skipper have a future as a forward? The forward 50 isn't unknown to Hawks captain James Sicily, who switched between both ends of the field early in his career before residing in defence full-time. But with the likely arrival of Josh Battle, as well as incumbents Jack Scrimshaw, Josh Weddle and Sam Frost holding down the fort in defence, do the Hawks have too many talls for their backline? Add in James Blank, Will McCabe and Ethan Phillips, and maybe a move to the front third for James Sicily could be beneficial for all going forward, especially as they look to find some support in the absence of Mitch Lewis next year. How much hope should the D's hold? It's been a rollercoaster season like no other at Melbourne, seeing off-field turmoil followed by gritty away wins, 92-point embarrassments followed by disturbing injury blows, and now their performance of the year without their captain and 2 best players. Melksham's return changes their forward dynamic, Cozzie's midfield presence is frightening, Trent Rivers' emergence is inspiring, Disco Turner and Colton Thelstrup have some serious spunk, but surely they can't win it all without Petrarca. Should the Roos be looking to part with their top pick? Likely to hold either pick 1 or 2 come the end of the season, there's a good chance North Melbourne consider splitting that selection. Arguably the top 4 to 5 prospects this year are midfielders, the one area of the field the Roos don't need to draft. So could they be better suited trading that selection for multiple early ones and instead look to bring in 2 or 3 key position players later in the first round? It's worth mulling over. Are Richmond following the West Coast model? The Tigers had their fun from 2017 to 2020, but the fall from grace could be ugly. The coach is already gone, the CEO is heading to the door at season's end, and Baker, Bolton, Rioli and Dusty might be also. They should have pick 1 in this year's draft, but there's not a whole lot to look forward to with the current crop of youngsters. Taranto and Hopper may have a long wait before seeing the success they thought they were joining in at the Tigers. Could Horne-Francis be the one to decide Port Adelaide's flag fate? He's the man that could very well lead the Power to their next flag in years to come, but Port Adelaide's young gun Jason Horne-Francis might already be the biggest influence on the club's premiership prospects for this season. His form has fluctuated over the past month or so, and often when he's down on output, the Power also struggle to contend. On multiple occasions this year, the former number 1 pick has been a difference maker and could again be their barometer should they reach September. Is it time for Ross to play more kids? The Saints, despite being in 15th, find themselves in limbo between a rebuild and contention after managing finals last year. But one focus that could help either area is giving more opportunities to some of the club's unknown quantities like Matt Allison, Max Heath and Isaac Keeler for the final rounds of the season. Senior figures Zach Jones and Tim Membry might be better suited to a few weeks in the VFL to find some form and hopefully increase the level of internal selection pressure. Could Sydney's star man be pushed forward on return? The Swans will face a selection conundrum this weekend when they welcome back band star Isaac Heaney, who missed the win over North Melbourne, while Callum Mills and Luke Parker made their long-awaited returns. With all 3 to be named and the likes of Goulden, Warner and Rowbottom also adding to John Longmire's midfield mix, is Heaney the one to be pushed forward? He's the only one of the group who can act as an aerial threat when forward and has won multiple All-Australian selections in an attacking role. With the Brownlow out of the equation, it may be the move. What should we expect from West Coast for the remainder of 2024? The Eagles have officially entered a new era in the wake of Adam Simpson's departure, with the Perth powerhouse beginning their search for the Premiership coach's successor. In the meantime, interim and potential candidate Jared Schofield will take the reins in what could be a dress rehearsal for the role. But what should we expect from Schofield and the Eagles? A winless end to the year will put a line through his chances for the job, while a change in form might give him the edge as the likes of Dean Cox and Ash Hansen come into the mix. While you can't discount the Dogs from contending in 2024. They may sit outside the top 8, but the Western Bulldogs could be a strong contender should they reach September. They have the second best percentage in the competition after round 18, and with 4 matches against sides sitting outside the top 6, their fate is in their own hands. If they can claim a scalp against the Swans or Cats, it'll go a long way in their finals pursuit, which could also be decided with their final game of the season against GWS in round 24. Those are our hard knocks and burning questions leading into round 19. Are we right? Are we wrong? Are we asking the right questions? Let us know what you think in the comments, hit the subscribe button and catch all the latest AFL news at zerohanger.com, the #1 AFL independent news source.